here's what I know about you. You're ambitious, you're a smart person, and you know what you want. But what's going on is you are not taking enough action in order to get what you want. You perceive that you're procrastinating at the moment. If that's you, in this video, here's what I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna be another one of those YouTubers or gurus who's gonna tell you what you already know. I'm gonna tell you things like you need discipline, you need to be consistent, and you need to take action. You already know that, but you're not doing it. So what I'm not gonna do is I'm not gonna be another guy telling you how to stop procrastinating, how to make your dreams come true. The angle I'm gonna take in this video is explaining why you are procrastinating at the moment. What's really going on which is fueling that? When you understand why you are doing what you're doing, hows are gonna work themselves out. So if that sounds good to you, then stick around and let's get into the video. So before I get into the nitty gritty, I just need to take a little bit of time to explain to you the really big picture stuff, and then we can get into the micro details. So if you're watching this video, you probably perceive yourself to be a procrastinator. I don't even know if I've spelled that right. Procrastinator, yeah. And if you procrastinate, there's probably 3 problems which are going on for you. I found this to be every single time for me and lots of other people too. So most likely the first thing is you've got a mentality problem. The second problem you've probably got is an identity problem. And the third thing is you've probably got a clarity problem. So let me explain what I mean. When it comes to mentality, I don't mean like David Goggins and you've got to be disciplined, you've got to be motivated, you've got to be consistent. What I mean by mentality is you are probably mentally blocked at the moment. You probably perceive that you are holding yourself back and you're beating yourself up, you're being hard on yourself, right? You know you're holding yourself back, but you probably don't know what is holding you back. And so basically, if you're procrastinating, there's probably a lot of mental blocks in the way, which is preventing you from taking action. When it comes to identity, probably what's going on is you're misaligned. So you're basically playing small. You're not really being yourself. You're probably trying to be somebody you're not, or do things which you don't really want to do deep down. And when it comes to clarity, you are probably foggy at the moment. So you're probably clear on things like what you want, why you want it, and how to get it. But there's probably areas which you're not clear on. There's probably things which you have uncertainty around. And because you're not certain, you're probably procrastinating because there's things which are just left out and you don't quite know exactly what to do or how to get what you want. And so you're foggy. And so what I help people do when it comes to things like procrastinating and when they feel like they're stuck is I help them basically break through their mental blocks. So all those things people perceive are holding them back, slowing them down, getting in the way, we identify those and then we remove them so they start taking action again. Because really, like the block, it's just this thing which is in their mind and it's stopping them from taking action, hence the procrastination. So I basically help them break through that. When it comes to their identity, I help them get aligned, but essentially what that means is I help people become authentic. It's basically helping people figure out who are they truly, what's most important to them, and help them start prioritizing that in terms of prioritize being themselves and not trying to be someone they're not. Focusing on themselves helps them become more aligned, and also they just become authentic. They're a better version of themselves. They're tapping into that best version of themselves because they are actually being themselves, not somebody who they're expecting themselves to be. And when it comes to foggy, I help them stop being foggy by becoming crystal clear. So it's just helping them flush out things like, all the little nitty-gritty things about, what they want, why they want it, and how to get it. And when there's more clarity, more certainty around your goals and your dreams and your game plan to make sure that happens, you don't procrastinate. When everything's clear, there's nothing in the way, you get going. So what are the things I focus on in terms of my clients? There's 9 things. The big one when it comes to mentality, a lot of people really struggle with failure and they sort of worry they're going to fail and they don't want to fail, so they kind of hold themselves back and procrastinate. When it comes to fears, that's another big mental block. So people have fears that they're going to get criticized, judged, hated. They're going to lose something like money, or they're going to lose their health or their time or something like that. And they have fears that if I do this thing, something negative is going to happen to me. And I don't want that negative thing to happen to me. Fears is basically something negative happen to you in the future. And if I do this thing, something bad's going to happen to me. And so people procrastinate because they have these unconscious fears. Kind of runs deep. So that's a big thing. And as well as that, a big mental block is just like life events sometimes. A lot of people really struggle with doing certain things they're expecting themselves to do because they're just distracted, because they've had these big stresses going on in their life. Like they're going through some real tough shit with their partner. Maybe they're separated. Maybe their family is sick. Like for me right now, I have been procrastinating my goals and dreams, but I've not been beating myself up because right now I've been going through a lot of family challenges, which have been taking up my time and energy. So that might be the case for you as well. Now, when it comes to procrastination, the biggest thing I found, and with others in terms of why they procrastinate, is it's mainly an identity issue. Specifically, they're trying to be somebody they're not. They're trying to do things which aren't actually that valuable to them. It's not aligned with their highest values. And really, it's just not a priority. But they're beating themselves up. They're expecting themselves. They're shoulding themselves. I should do these things. And when they don't do those things, they label it as procrastination. So very simply, that's the big one, is they're trying to be somebody they're not. They're trying to do things which aren't aligned, or it's not linked in their mind, which I'll get into later in the video. Another thing I found which comes to why people procrastinate is they tend to put others ahead of themselves. And so typically you see these people online, or you have these mentors, and you really want to be like them or have what they have, and they have a certain set of values, and you have a certain set of values which are different, but you are trying to change your values to be more like them and do things which you perceive aren't that important to you, and it's important to them, and you're basically trying to be someone you're not, and you procrastinate on things because it's just not you. But you're trying to put others ahead of you and change your identity, and that's when you get misaligned, and that's when you tend to procrastinate as well. And then the last thing is limiting beliefs. So sometimes we procrastinate because we've just got these thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I can't. Whatever the belief, insert a negative statement here about yourself. And sometimes, we want to do something, but we have this belief blocking us that we're just not capable of doing the thing or achieving the certain milestone to help us get what we want. And so sometimes the beliefs just block us and cause us to procrastinate as well. But I've saved the best till last, because really, if you are procrastinating, you've probably got a clarity problem. You're probably foggy, specifically on 3 things, which I'm going to flush out in this video. So you're not crystal clear on your what, your why, and your how. So what I mean by that is you're not crystal clear on either what your goals are or what the next step is for you. So it could be you're not clear on the goal you're shooting towards. It's not specific enough for you. It's not a SMART goal. Or in terms of getting that, you're not really clear on what to do to make sure that happens. You're not clear on what to do. And because you don't have something to focus on, you don't know what that is, you tend to do unproductive things like watching the TV, watching the Netflix, watching porn or scrolling on your phone, whatever. And because you know that's not productive, you just label yourself as a procrastinator because you're just not crystal clear on what you're supposed to be doing. The next thing is the why, which kind of ties into the values. And when you don't have a big enough reason why, then how you do it is just going to be really difficult for you. A lot of people in this day and age, they need motivation. They need external motivation because they don't have a big enough why to do the thing. And so if you're doing things which you perceive to be important to you, you don't need other people to motivate you and tell you you need to do things. You just want to do it. You just spontaneously act. And so if you aren't clear on your why and you're not doing something which you perceive to be important to you, you will tend to procrastinate a lot more. And then the last thing when it comes to your clarity is if you're not clear on every single step to help you go from A to Z, you don't know what B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and so on is, then that's when you tend to procrastinate as well. That is just a very high level overview of procrastination. Now, I'm not going to go through all 9 things. That's just not the whole point of this video. I kind of want to give you the 80-20. More so what I found to be the most important things, which in terms of if you conquer these things, you stop procrastinating, you start acting, and you start getting closer and closer and closer to your goals and dreams. And specifically, there's 4 things. So the first thing is your values, which kind of ties into your why, like I already said. And then as well as that, we're going to be focusing on the what and the how. So that's 2 and 3. And then the last thing is just basically the mental blocks as well. So let's get into it. So as I said, your values and your why. One really important thing is, if you want to stop procrastinating, why you're doing it is because you're trying to be someone you're not. You're trying to do what you perceive is low priority stuff. Like for me, for example, my highest values, by the way, they're not things like social idealisms like honesty and integrity and respect and yada, yada, yada. Not these fluffy words. Your highest values are the things you just do. No one has to remind you to do or tell you to do. Your life just demonstrates these things are important to you. The things which are my highest values right now, the things most important to me right now, is building my coaching business. It's coaching the clients. It's building my wealth and my finances, managing my money, and traveling. My life is demonstrating that. That's really important to me. Now, I found that with those things, I'm not procrastinating on that at the moment. I'm taking steps every single day to build my business bit by bit by bit. And when it comes to coaching, I don't procrastinate on the coaching. When it comes to managing my finances, I don't need people to tell me to manage my money or I should save and stuff. I just do it because it's important to me. But there typically can be some times where there's actions in, say, building the business, which I procrastinate on. Now, the reason why that is because I don't see the link between the action I'm trying to do, the task, and my values. I just can't see that link. And so if you can't see how doing this certain thing is going to help you achieve what you want to achieve, what is most important to you, that's when you tend to procrastinate. And so what really sometimes can help is by looking at the benefits you're going to get. These are like the rewards or the positives, where if I do this thing, so for example, I procrastinated on social media recently, and I was actually like hesitating on making videos. And I'm going to get into more of that in a sec, but one thing which you can do is, so say for example, if it's social media procrastinating on, you can look at, well, how is me making social media content or the specific thing I'm procrastinating on, which I'm judging myself for, how is doing that going to help me with what is ever most important to you? So for me, how is doing the social media content going to help me build my business? How is it going to help me with my coaching clients, help them get better results? How is it going to help with my finances? And how is it going to help me travel? The more links you can see, the more positives and benefits you're going to see between doing the thing and getting what you want and seeing how it's going to help you get what you want, you're more likely to act because you can see there's lots to gain from doing that thing. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is how you're going to get what you want. You probably have a good idea on what you want. You know you want to achieve a certain kind of result. Maybe it's getting a certain amount of income in your business or getting a certain amount of clients like me or whatever. But you're probably procrastinating because you haven't got every single step mapped out. It's kind of like, imagine, you're at the start of a destination before going to somewhere you want to go to. You have the destination in mind and you know where you're at and you're going to get in your car, but you don't have your phone, you don't have your sat nav, you don't have Google Maps, you don't even have a map, right? You know the direction is this way, but you don't have every kind of detail mapped out, either a device which helps you do that, or you just don't know, okay, I need to go left in a certain amount of miles and then in about an hour I go here. If you don't have all those steps mapped out, then you're probably going to procrastinate on getting started on the journey because you want to know, what do I need to do? Where do I need to go? How do I need to navigate this journey to go from where I'm at to where I want to go? So if you're procrastinating, it's probably going to be wise for you to try and map out every single little step and try and chunk it down, which I'm going to get to in a sec, in terms of getting clear on every single little step. Like imagine if you're going from A to B, like let's say with you going shopping, driving from your house to the shops, you are crystal clear because you've probably done it a load of times, but you're crystal clear on exactly, if you get in the car, where you need to go, what turns and what corners you need to take, and how much fuel you need and how much time it's going to take for you to get there. Do you procrastinate when you get in the car to go shopping? No, because you know how to get there. It's a very similar thing with whatever you want to do. So if you're foggy on how to get what you want, just simply spending time and thinking about what are the big projects or what are the big things I need to focus on first, and try reverse engineering it. So you've got the big goal, think about all the projects you need to complete to get that. And then in terms of each project, you can chunk it down even further and be like, okay, well, what are the main tasks which if I complete these tasks, I complete this project. If I complete these tasks, I complete this project, and these tasks and this project, and so on. Chunk it down. And then if you can go further, then chunk down those tasks into daily bite-sized action steps, where just every single day you're taking baby steps and just ticking off your to-do list. If you can map out every single little detail, have a game plan to help you go from A to Z or A to B, you're probably not going to procrastinate because you're going to see, wow, if I do these things, I'm going to get what I want. And do I want this? And if the answer is yes, well, you're just going to do it because I'm going to get what I want if I just do this. So let's go. So I know that sounds really simple, but you'll be amazed how many people don't have a clear strategy to get what they want. No wonder they procrastinate. So if that's you, spend some time, flush it out, use ChatGPT, just something. Just try and map out every single detail, create a checklist, and just get going. You'll be amazed at how that will just open up your clarity and help you just with acting. Now, the third thing which could be causing you to procrastinate is you may know what you want to achieve. You might want to achieve a certain level of income, and you may have mapped out your game plan in terms of all the steps, all the projects, all the tasks you need to do. And you may be doing really well in terms of the last few weeks or months you've been chipping away, but then you've come up to a roadblock. There's a certain task or action or project where you've slowed down or maybe you've stopped and you're procrastinating on this specific part of the project. What may be the case here, why you're probably procrastinating, is it's probably a lot to do with your expectations. And specifically what I mean by that is three things, which could be the case for you. So the first thing which could be going on is that thing you're expecting yourself to do is too big. You perceive it to be overwhelming, like in terms of trying to achieve it. And the second thing is you may not have given yourself enough time. So too short a time frame to achieve it. And potentially, this is only a third one, which I've realized recently with social media, is you may have a lot of time and you may perceive that it's doable, it's not too big, but in terms of the quality of your work, you may have really high expectations on yourself, like you may be a bit of a perfectionist and you procrastinate because you know based on your skill set or where you're at or the time frame you've got, you can't produce that level of quality of work which you're expecting yourself to produce it at. Now, the big ones I found is 1 and 2, but 3 could also be something for you. So for example, in 2023, I was working with someone who was an aspiring trader. They wanted to be a full-time trader and they were trading for about 6 months. They actually just started the whole journey about 6 months ago. So they were new, they were relatively new. And basically I said to them, well, obviously, you know what you need to do. You know you need to work on your strategy and your psychology, your risk management, your journaling, backtesting, all these things. They knew what they needed to do. They had the strategy, the game plan mapped out, the how. But then when it comes to their goal, what they wanted to achieve, the expectations they had on themselves is to become consistently profitable. So they're making money every single month consistently from the markets in 6 to 12 months. And they were only 6 months in. So basically this person was procrastinating so much because in their mind, they're trying to achieve something which deep down they perceive they can't do. So this kind of ties into limiting beliefs in a little way. Limiting beliefs can often be feedback that your expectations are off. And so one thing I did with this client, which is hard to do, this is hard to do, right? Because we tend to have pressure. We tend to be desperate in terms of wanting certain results and wanting it as soon as possible. But basically this is just being realistic. And so I said to this client, do you think, based on everyone else who's playing the game of trading, do you think that you are any different and you can achieve the results you want being consistently profitable in 6 to 12 months? Not to be harsh, but do you feel with everything you've been doing so far, all the action you've been taking, that that's enough to help you get that result? And he said no. So I said, you can either do one of two things. You can either do more, you can put more effort in, more intense to get the results in a shorter time. Or if you're going to be real with yourself and you keep doing things the way you're doing, maybe either shorten the goal. So rather than trying to be consistently profitable, it could be something like try and just achieve consistency with breaking even, or just stretch out the goal. Just give yourself more time to achieve the goal. And so the client just went in their mind and understood and accepted what I was trying to say and the reality of trading, and said, you know what, I'm just going to try and figure out the game, trying to learn and refine my strategy. And then in 2 years, that's when I would like to achieve consistency. And just by understanding that and just taking that pressure off themselves, taking that expectation off themselves, that's when they just started to take action, because that pressure was off. Their expectations were more aligned and more real. And they could see, well, yeah, if I just take action now, then I'm probably going to hit that goal in 2 years. It's more achievable. And so that's when they started taking action, stop procrastinating. So in terms of this, that might be something to do with you. So maybe have a look at your goals or the things you're working on, and, Goldilocks your goals. Try and just adjust it by either giving yourself more time or, maybe trying to just take a chunk out of that. So if you're giving yourself a week to complete this massive project, which is too big, maybe just focus on step 1 in week, or step 1 and 2, rather than trying to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the week. So maybe give yourself more time, try and expect yourself to do a little bit less, be more real, or just expect yourself that you're not going to do a perfect job in the first try, and maybe just give it a go and just focus on doing it rather than trying to get it perfect. Don't be too focused on the quality. The quality will come. So that could maybe help you with the what challenge, which could be fueling your procrastination. And then saving the best for last, the mental blocks. As I said before, you could perceive that if you do certain things, that if I do this thing, something negative is going to happen to me. So a really common one, let's use me for an example, is I knew I wanted to do YouTube videos. Since I was 18 years old, I knew I wanted to help people. And I didn't start until I was 26. 8 years. I'm the master procrastinator. This is pro procrastination. I'm the master, okay? And I procrastinated for 8 years on specifically doing YouTube videos. So what that means is showing up on camera. Well, I know this is probably going to be a bit obvious, but this is to get the point across. I wasn't taking action because I had mental blocks. Specifically for me, I had a lot of fear. I had fear that people were going to judge me, people were going to make fun of me at school, and people were going to criticize me, and maybe people don't want to be friends with me anymore. And this fear actually links a lot with me putting others ahead of me. I'm sacrificing my life, my goals, my dreams because I care more about the opinions of others. But for me, that dynamic fueled my mental blocks. The block for me was the opinions of others, being judged, and that stopped me from taking action. So for you, you might want to look at, well, what are you procrastinating on? And what negative associations do you have around doing that thing or achieving that goal? A lot of people have a fear of success because, let's say, if they become successful, they may lose something. A really common one with entrepreneurs is when they're working really hard in their business. That actually happened with me. You work really hard on the business and you're putting your time, energy, and effort into that. And then other things in your life, typically the relationships in your life, the partner, they tend to die. You're building the relationship and you're building the business and you're destroying your relationship. There's like this balance, right? There's this conservation. And so when people build a business and they get successful, they tend to fail in the relationship and the relationship breaks down. And what people do is sometimes they can create these associations by, if I build my business, they're in a new relationship, I'm going to lose this person again. And I don't want to lose this person. So they procrastinate. So there's kind of this check and balance system. There's sort of these motives, unconscious motivations, where if I procrastinate on building my business, then I'm going to be able to save the marriage, save the relationship. Because the mental blocks is just basically your baggage. There's this shit in your mind which is slowing you down, getting in the way, stopping you from doing what you want to do. So one thing could just be looking at what are the negative associations you have with either the goal you've got or the thing you're trying to do which you're procrastinating on. Like for me, I was procrastinating a lot on social media again. I've had a bit of a break. I went traveling. And, I knew I wanted to make content and I knew the ideas, but I was procrastinating on making these videos. And I looked at it and I went through this framework. And For me, the failure piece came up for me because in my perception, I put all this time, energy, effort into so much content in the past, and I perceived that I didn't get a result. I perceived the expectations I had in terms of by doing the content I'll be here in life, and really I'm here in my perception, I perceive that as a failure. And so there's these negative associations I have with producing content. So for me, there was blocks with doing this, which was causing me to procrastinate, which I had to work through as well. So take a good hard look at the goal and what's the fears you have, what's the blocks you have around achieving the goal, what's the negative associations there, and or with the thing you're trying to do, the actions, what are you procrastinating on? What's the task? What's the thing? And do you maybe not like it? Do you just think it's boring and it's not really high value for you? So that's the first thing. Or you know what you need to do and you know you want to do it, but maybe it's a bit too big and you need to chunk it down. You know, that's basically the how thing. Or do you need to maybe give yourself a bit more time? Or just maybe, you know, kind of humble yourself a bit and stop expecting yourself to do such a great job and high quality work, and just be real and just put expectation on yourself like I'm just going to try, I'm just going to put this out. It's not going to be great, but I'm going to learn, I'm going to get better. Or, you know, like I said, is there potential mental blocks around that? And I found that with these four in particular, this is what fuels most of my procrastination. Every time I procrastinated, including recently, like a few days ago, it's one of these four things or a combination. That's basically the video. And one thing before you go, if you've got this far, thank you for getting this far, but I've also got a free resource which is kind of related to this, but it's basically a self-assessment and a checklist where you can use this framework to rate yourself in terms of how much these 9 areas, in terms of the blue, how much these are impacting your life. And that helps you with solving procrastination, getting unstuck, and start actually making progress and momentum in whatever you want to achieve. So if that sounds good to you, it's totally free. There's a link in the description where you can basically download it for free. You get a tool for life and you can use it again and again and again. I wish I had this when I was feeling stuck, procrastinating heaps and beating myself up. So take advantage of it whilst I've still got it. And that is basically the video. So if you like the video, like it. So YouTube basically puts it out in front of more people, and this helps me help more people. And if you're wanting more videos like this to help you with whatever you're going through, if you're feeling stuck or in a funk, or you know, you're just feeling a little bit low at the moment and you want help on this journey you're on, you know, whether you're aspiring or early stage or maybe you're an established entrepreneur, then make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to put a lot more videos like this. And that's it. So thanks for watching, appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.